Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Valencia Baker. I'm with Directions Training, and I am going to be your instructor for this Microsoft Power Apps 101 webinar. In today's webinar, we are going to be discussing Power Apps, what it is, how to get started, and all of the benefits of this wonderful tool. So let's get started with what is Power Apps. Power Apps is actually a part of the toolset in Office 365 known as Power Platform. The tools that are available in this Power Platform are used to design and allow users to create customized solutions for a range of different business needs, which could include reporting data, automating business processes, and overall reducing costs and saving time on a lot of these different tools that we do on a day-to-day basis. Power Apps is Microsoft's sophisticated forms tool. So perhaps if you've heard of Microsoft Forms, that's more of a simplified application for creating forms for collecting data, whereas the Microsoft Power Apps tool can be used as a standalone or in conjunction with other Power Platform tools. It's used to create mobile apps. And we know a lot of times organizations and their employees are using different mobile devices to access other applications. So why not use Power Apps to create your own mobile apps that can be used and consumed by others in your organization? You can use Power Apps to customize SharePoint forms, and SharePoint being one of the data sources that the Power Apps application can use. It allows you to be able to take and build an app, consume that data, and also have that data populate and report back to SharePoint. It runs as a service within Office 365. So initially, if you have Office 365, you more than likely have at the very least the basic free Power Apps license. And there's a lot of other different licenses that are included with Power Apps based on the usage, how much you need to use, how many people are going to consume the app, etc. Now, what are some of the benefits of using Power Apps? That's going to include a fast development process. You can build a very simple app in just minutes, and you'll see me do so today. You can create apps for your own use, or you can create apps that you'll share with your colleagues for them to use. It's optimized for your mobile devices, so it uses the hardware, including the GPS location, camera, and microphone tools. It connects to hundreds of business systems. So you can use these different business systems to display, create, edit, and delete information. Some of the free business connectors include SharePoint and Excel. And then you have some that will require additional Power Apps licensing, such as Salesforce. And in the Power Apps Builder in the canvas, you'll use what are called building blocks. These are the controls that allow you to be creative and make the apps relevant to your needs. So let's take a look at Power Apps. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my Office 365 portal. And this is going to allow me to access all of the applications that I have in my arsenal of tools in my Office 365 account. So you can see here, I'm already on all apps, and one of those apps includes Power Apps. Power Apps can be opened from the Office 365 portal or from the unique and direct URL, which is make.powerapps.com. And you would, of course, need to log into your account, so your Office 365 account, regardless of which method you choose. Now, once you're in, you can access the Power Apps components. And these include the Power Apps Studio, the Power Apps mobile app, which you'll access on your mobile device, and then the Power Apps Admin Center, which is only going to be available to IT professionals who have been given the role of a Power Apps administrator or a global administrator. But as an end user, you have the ability to access the Power Apps via the web browser. So the web browser allows you to build your app, and then you can use the app on the mobile device. While you can consume and use the app on the web, it's not going to be the correct interface, or the layout may not be beneficial to the browser that you're using, for example. But here on the home and landing page is where you're going to find the different tools to get started with creating your new app. Initially, over on the left-hand side, you're going to see the navigation pane, and this is going to allow you to access any apps that you've recently built or create new apps. And there are three main types of applications in Power Apps. Canvas apps are going to be the most used Power App, and it's the one that does not require any additional types of licensing. These are the ones that are completely customizable. They're already included in your regular license for Microsoft 365, and you can connect to a range of different data sources. Then you have some other apps like portal and model-driven apps, which are going to essentially allow you to either connect to the Microsoft Dataverse and have very specific layouts, and also allow you to create outward-facing websites. Now, down at the bottom, you'll see here that I have a few initial apps that I've created, and it'll tell you the type. And then also at the top, it'll ask you, where do you want to start building an app from? A great place for new users would be to create an app from a template. So you'll see, initially, it'll give me more create options. And then when I click on more create options, I can see at the bottom, start from a template. So I'm going to just go ahead and use a really simple template that's available. And you'll see below the name of the app, there's going to be the type. So remember, we have Canvas apps, we have portal apps, and we have model-driven apps. And the components and what's available is going to be different based on the app. But let's say I wanted to send out an engagement survey that my colleagues could always access. And if they're on the go, they can do it via the mobile app. So I might be interested in using the employee engagement survey template. So it'll start and it'll give you the app name, and you can change it however you like. So I'll just take the numbers off here at the end, and I will call this the annual employee engagement survey. Then I'll select create. And you'll notice here that it has a preview and what it does and the type. And then you also can access a preview of the app. So by clicking preview, a new tab will appear, and this is the app live. Now, of course, it is asking me to sign in. So let me go ahead and make sure it recognizes that I am the person using it. And then now in my preview mode, this is what it would look like if I were using this app on my mobile device. But you can see how it fits directly to this frame. It's not going to expand to fit within my window. But I can use the app and I'll get started. And you can see the template has included all these different texts. So I would need to go in and edit this to make it feasible for my organization. So I can say that I am an individual contributor, and I'll click next. What departments do I work with? We'll say operations, and I'll click next. How many hours do I spend working on email? Not that many. I'd say maybe about 6 hours. And then, do I see myself working here in a year? Absolutely, because I love directions. And any other comments? This app is cool and makes this survey much easier to complete. Because you may have had a survey in the past that was done in email, or it may just not have been as user-friendly. So now I'm all done, right? This is it. This app was built in Power Apps. So now I can close this tab and navigate back to my Power Apps homepage. And this time I'm going to select Create. Because by selecting Create, this is going to take me to the Power Apps Canvas model, where I'm going to be able to actually build my app. So I can customize this app with all of its features. Now, keep in mind, you're going to get a lot of pop-ups and information, especially because Power Apps and Power Platform in general is very fluid in Microsoft. It is constantly changing. So you're going to see different notifications about maybe different tools or controls that are used in an app that aren't necessarily going to be available, or they might be in what we like to call a preview mode. All right, so now I'm here in the user interface. This is the Power Apps Designer interface, and this is where I can design my app. Over here on the left-hand side is where I'm going to find my tree view. And the tree view gives me the opportunity to access the different components that are currently in the app, and then other tools that I may want to insert. At the top, Power Apps is using the traditional Microsoft ribbon. So as you select the different tabs, you'll see different tools that you can access to help you modify and make changes to your app. Then on the right-hand side, this is going to be my properties panel. And depending on what object or control, that you have selected here on the screen, the properties menu will change. There are a lot of properties and components that you can change in your app, because remember, the controls are the building blocks of the Power App. Each control is going to have some kind of functionality, because otherwise, if I don't make this button, for example, get started with some type of function to actually get started, then it's really just text. It's nothing else other than text saying get started. So you may notice here at the very top in my ribbon, there's an on select option. And this looks very similar to an Excel formula bar, right? That's because Power Apps uses some of the same components. There are different functions and formulas that you use in order to give an action to your text or to your app. So one of those particular control options includes on select. So what this is saying is on select, I want you to navigate to this page and start collecting these responses. So you can use different formulas that will allow you to build on and make your app interactive. And this is why starting from a template is very powerful, because as you're getting to use this application, there's a lot of components that you have to intertwine to ensure that everything's working properly. And you honestly may not know where to start. So if you have a template, not only does it give you some ideas about how you can use your app, you can really just customize it simply by changing the name. So rather than me having Fabricam Connect, I can say Directions Training. And no, it's not stealing if that's what you think. It is a template for us to be able to build on. And then I can customize the color, so you can see on the home screen, it has the fill color, background image, image position. So depending on what you select, which you can either do from the tree view in the components list, or you can select directly on the actual object, you can make changes to its properties and how that particular item, that control interacts with your screen.
Another tool to bring attention to is going to be the Insert tab. So the Insert tab is where you're going to find the different controls that you can add to your Power Apps. And we're going to see that a little bit more in just a moment. One of the many ways that we can create apps is also by connecting to a data source. So normally when you're working in Office 365, you already have data sources. They might exist in an Excel spreadsheet. They might exist in SharePoint. For this next demonstration, I'm going to create an app from an existing SharePoint list. So I can start this from within Power Apps, or I can start it from within SharePoint. And I already have my SharePoint site open and available. So here I have a SharePoint list that is compiled of visitor parking records, just sample data of different visitors that have come and parked at my company. So if I wanted to create an app where we could easily manage this data and also create new data by entering new parking records from a mobile device, I can do so by using the Integrate tool right here in SharePoint. When I select Integrate, you can see there are other Power Platform options as well, but I'm going to choose Power Apps and create an app. This is such an easy step process because you're generating an app based on the data you already have. And you're going to see how cool this is, how Power Apps is going to build you a very simple app that you can start to populate and use data in. So I'm going to go ahead and type visitor and spell that correctly. Visitor parking log. We'll call this visitor parking log. All right, so we're going to give it a name. And then now we're going to go ahead and click create. And so now what's going to happen is Power Apps is going to open in a new tab, and it's going to start to build our Power App. Now keep in mind, even though I'm building from a source, what's going to happen is it's going to create 3 of the main pages that correspond with an app. So we have the view page. The view page is where we're going to be able to really see the app, see the data, work with the controls, etc. Then we have the details page. So if I select a particular item in the data source or in the app, it's going to give me the details of that item. Then we have the edit page. And the edit page is where I can either edit existing details or I can insert new details. Those are the 3 foundation pages that are included in a Power App. So right now it's loading and it's getting information together. And in just a moment, we will see our new live Power App that I can then edit. And now you can see here my visitor parking record app. So it initially opens up in designer mode because it assumes you may want to make some edits and some changes, which you could. But if I wanted to do a preview, if I wanted to test this app out to see how it currently works as it's been created, I can select the play button up here in the upper right-hand corner, which is going to allow me to preview my app. So these are the corresponding records that were already included from my SharePoint list. And if I wanted to view the details, I can select the arrow here and it's going to take me to the details page. If I want to edit the details, I can go up here in the upper right-hand corner, or I can delete. So you can see that Power Apps is already building the app with necessary controls that's going to allow me to manipulate this data based on the type of data that I have in the Power App. It's so intuitive and it makes it so much easier for you who may not have as much experience with the design aesthetics. This is enough to get started. I don't have to do anything special, but view my data, edit any existing data, or by using the new item details list, all of the fields that are included in my records is going to be populated here. And I can create a brand new field that's going to allow me to be able to access and change it. Now, of course, there's a lot of nuances that I can easily change. Perhaps I don't need the dating record. And also maybe the disabled access. I want that to be a toggled on and off. And also maybe even a drop-down menu for specific makes and models. So as you start to use Power Apps, you'll notice that you can continuously build on the apps, make them better, make changes to them as you and others start to use the app, and then you can get feedback from those additional sources. The last thing I'm going to show is essentially creating an app from scratch, so pretty much a blank app, and then also how you can share your apps. So I'm going to come back here to my Power Apps page, and I'm going to go back one, and I don't necessarily need to save this particular template app, but I'm going to go back into my main homepage in my Power App. You can see here, you can start from a blank app. Starting from a blank app means that you really are going to be customizing this app. So I'm just going to call this test app. I'm not going to add any real specific data to it. And you'll see you can format it as a tablet or a phone app. So we'll go ahead and select phone. And that just determines the width and the height and the ratio and the landscape, how it's going to be formulated. But all of that can be changed as well. So now you can see here, you have to start directly from the screen and start to populate new items. You can add different types of screens, scrollable, lists, people screens, calendars. Typically, the list is going to be the first type if you import or if you integrate an app from a source. It gives you a list of the different items that are in that particular source. Then again, you can insert controls. So you can insert different input controls, list box, combo, text input. You can insert charts. There are a lot of icons that you would more than likely need to add, but most of these icons, remember, need to have some type of interactivity. So for example, if you had a search field, you would need to have where that information is populating or choosing from. If you happen to have a menu, a waffle menu, what does this menu show? So there's a lot that can be customized when you're using these different icons. But as you can see, there are quite a few to choose from here in this gallery list. You can also insert images and they can have actions that will allow you to correspond and use how those are going to be accessed. But once you're finished with your app and you're ready to really share it, I'm going to use our visitor parking log app. So once you're ready to share it, the first thing you'll need to do, of course, is to save it. So once you've saved the app, you'll see the option here to share. And sharing just essentially means that you're giving access to others so that they can use your app as well. If you create it, it's your app and you automatically can use it. You do need to access the Power Apps mobile app from your app store in order to use these apps. So first you would download Power Apps Mobile, then in the Power Apps mobile interface, you'll see all of the apps that you've created based on whatever environment or account that you are logged into. So here I can share my log and give permissions for others to own it or simply just be able to use it. All right, so that's going to be our quick and brief overview, our Power Apps 101 overview. As you can tell, there's a lot more to cover. And if you are interested and intrigued with this wonderful application, I highly encourage you to sign up for our Power Apps course, our full day Power Apps course, which will give you a lot of insight into how to utilize this particular application. Thank you so much for joining.